Anytime you have part of your identity that is meaningful to you, there's a good chance that part of your self-worth is connected to that part of your identity. So this means if you have a high athletic identity and now that part of you is being threatened, it can feel like a very significant blow.
Welcome to the Injured Athletes Club podcast, the show that helps athletes cope with sports injuries and bounce back stronger. I'm journalist Cindy Kuzma.
And I'm mental skills coach Carrie Jackson. We're sorry you're here, but we're glad you're with us.
This week, it's time for a listener Q&A once again. Coach Carrie is going to use her expertise in mental performance and injury recovery to help out with a question that came in from our audience. But before we get to that, we just wanted to share a little bit about some of the other resources we have for you.
Yes, one of the greatest resources we have is actually over at buymeacoffee.com/rebound. We have all kinds of extras over there for you, some for a nominal fee and some that are free. And all of the proceeds from those incredible resources all go back to helping to support the podcast. So it's a twofer. Not only do you get incredible information for your recovery, but you also get to support other injured athletes in their recovery as well by helping them be able to listen to the Injured Athletes Club podcast. So definitely check out the resources over there. There's all kinds of webinar recordings with really incredible information of expert panelists. They're amazing. We have an e-course over there on the mental rehab that you go through with injury recovery and supporting that. There's also some affirmations and Carrie quotes, just a lot of great stuff. It's worth checking out. So head over to buymeacoffee.com/rebound.
Yeah, definitely get some of those Carrie quotes, save them on your phone, you screenshot them. They are so helpful in reminding us of the wise words that Coach Carrie shares with us. And let's give Coach Carrie the chance to share some more wise words with us today. But before we get to that, one other note. This season of the Injured Athletes Club is brought to you by Lever Movement, creators of the Lever System, a portable lightweight device that attaches to a treadmill to reduce your body weight. That means less impact on your joints, so you can come back from injury safely or even prevent getting hurt in the first place. You can use the Lever System at home or take it to the gym and set it up in less than 2 minutes. Use code INJURED20 to get 20% off any device. Check out Lever today and take your training to the next level. Okay, now on to this week's question and Coach Carrie's wisdom. This question comes from athlete Emily, who asks, how do I cope with knowing that I may never get back to where I was and that this might be a permanent change for me?
Oh, thank you, Emily, so much for submitting your question. There's a lot of people that have been listening to the podcast that have some very similar question. Like, well, what about me, right? What about the athlete that maybe isn't going to be able to get back to their sport in the same way or at all? So, and I've been working with injured athletes for many years now. And one of the biggest fears or concerns that comes up for an injured athlete is the thought, am I going to be the same athlete I was before I get injured? Will I be as strong? Will I be as fast? Will I be as sharp? Will I be as aggressive? Or will I be a lesser version of myself? Will I never be the same again? Anytime you have part of your identity that is meaningful to you, there's a good chance that part of your self-worth is connected to that part of your identity. So this means if you have a high athletic identity and now that part of you is being threatened, it can feel like a very significant blow. It can feel like your whole world is crumbling beneath you. And this isn't necessarily true for every athlete, but it is true for many athletes. And that could apply to any part of your identity, right? So whichever part of your identity that's sort of the highest, that you have the highest connection to. Oftentimes, our self-worth is connected to that part of our identity. And if something threatens it, it feels very unmooring and very scary. So sometimes when I'm working with athletes that are injured, they actually feel confused by how affected they are. They might say, they'll say things like, I don't understand why I'm so upset. It's not like this is my profession or how I put food on the table. But of course you're upset. This is something that is meaningful to you, something that feeds your heart and your soul. And you're looking at the prospect of not being able to do that anymore. And when that's what you're looking at, of course, it's going to deeply affect you. So So the answer to your question actually is there's some similarities and some differences depending on whether never getting back to where you were means you're still able to participate in your sport, but not at the same level, or if it means you're facing the possibility of having to stop participating in your sport altogether. So the one thing that's true for both scenarios is that you need to allow yourself to grieve. With either scenario, you are grieving the loss of the path you can no longer take. You can both grieve and find gratitude in what your sport has given you. So sometimes we don't think that those two things are possible to have at the same time, but they 100% are. You want to think about the lessons you learned, the memories you made, and what it meant to you to be a part of it. Part of grieving is honoring those memories and honoring the joy it brought to your life, as well as feeling the sadness of its loss. So if you're able to continue with your sport, but will be doing it at a different level than you're used to, the question you have to ask yourself is whether you feel like you're emotionally capable of that. Some of my athletes can shift their definitions of success and detach the meaning and joy of participating from the outcome. And some of my athletes can't, and realize I don't think that's something I can do. It's going to be too painful and I need to find something different. So if the permanent change means you're no longer able to participate in your sport, one thing to trust is that you will find meaning in something else if you allow yourself to. So what your question really made me think of actually was a recent podcast we did when we interviewed Dimity McDowell, and she wrote a book called The 27th Mile about her journey of leaving running after 30 years due to her experience with chronic injuries. Definitely grab the book if it's something that you feel like would resonate with you and would be helpful. It's an incredible resource, an incredible book, and she's a wonderful person. And running was a very significant part of her life and her identity, both personally and professionally. So she intimately understands what a loss like this feels like. And one of the suggestions she has in her book that both Cindy and I think would loved was this idea of, in regards to what's next, when you have a permanent change, is to aim for finding an activity that is a B-. So don't look for the A or A+, because nothing is going to feel like an A or an A+ right now if you're looking at I don't think I can do my sport anymore. And sometimes that keeps people stuck, right? That idea of like, nothing's going to be as good at this, so I'm not going to do anything. So looking for a B-, her idea of looking for a B- is such a beautiful way to give yourself permission to look for a place to start. So Emily, I hope some of what I shared helps. Also just know that sometimes, like, the biggest thing I come back to in moments where I'm really struggling is the reminder of how I feel right now is not how I will always feel. Right. So, you right now, maybe you're feeling like nothing will ever be as good and I'm devastated and I don't even know who I am in the world anymore. You won't feel like that forever. And sometimes something that you start up as a B- might eventually become your next A or A+, right? When you really allow yourself to recognize and connect to, well, what are the values I'm fulfilling? And is it possible that I can still connect to that through a different strategy? And allow yourself to grieve that your original strategy isn't one that's available to you anymore.
Thank you so much for that, Coach Carrie. Wise words as always. And that idea of how I feel right now isn't how I'm always going to feel is applicable to so many things in life. And I come back to that often. So thank you for that. And also wanted to let listeners know that episode with Dimity will be out in just a couple of weeks. So you can hear even more of the wisdom that she has for moving on from a sport, if that is what is in the cards for you. So thank you, Emily, for your question. Thank you, Coach Carrie, for your wisdom. And thanks also to Jeremy Nessel for editing this and every single episode of the show. We're also, of course, grateful to Lever Movement, our sponsor, for making it possible. So don't forget to use code INJURED20 for 20% off any device at levermovement.com. If you have a question for Coach Carrie, you can email us at hello@injuredathletesclub.com, visit our Facebook page, or join our Facebook group, the Injured Athletes Club, and leave us a message there. Coach Carrie would love to help you out by answering your question on an upcoming episode. finally, between episodes, you can join that group, not just to submit a question, but also to get advice, support, and camaraderie. It's a whole wonderful community of people who really just get what you're going through because they are there right now or they've been there before. You can get links to that group, to everything that we've mentioned in the episode today on our website, injuredathletesclub.com. We'll see you there.